This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Unbelievable. A bombshell of a story, and I don't say that often, was delivered on Friday morning in the wee hours, and thank goodness for Chicago City Wire. It was a ghastly report about Chicago public school teachers and their vendors and substitute teachers, but close to 600 adult on-student misconduct allegations filed in the year 2021-22. Did the Tribune cover it? No. Did the Sun-Times cover it? Ray Stevens? Nope. Did you hear about it?
Now you
on local media, did Channel 9, 5, did anybody cover it?
Radio silence.
Except us here at AM 560, The Answer. It reads like a horror novel. These are children. A CPS employee asked a fourth grade student why her lips were chapped, and then stated that the student's lips were chapped because she was blanking blank. Something very inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Another asked a young student to recruit another student for a threesome and told her that he loved her, repeatedly attempted to kiss her, asked her to make out with him, commented on the student's hickey, and described himself to the student as well hung. Don't laugh. Don't you dare laugh, Ray. Not funny.
Where have we gone in this frickin' world of ours?
But
man?
Instead of focusing on this, or I'm getting information because all of these teachers, there's 600, and they found that, half were legit. 16 criminal charges have been filed.
Where does this get covered up?
But here's the thing. Even with the 16, where are their names? What schools do they go to? I'm talking as a CPS parent now. I want to know. Is it a gym teacher took, one gym teacher exchanged 4,000 text messages with a female student, including 400 in one day. In them, the teacher told the student he was bisexual and that he was in an open marriage and attracted to other people. The same teacher asked another student to show him her underwear. And while they're talking in his office, asked if she wanted to take her clothes off.
Did you?
Okay, who are these people and where do they work? But instead, guess what I got emails on? Today's the first day of school. Yeah. You better get your COVID test.
Wear your mask.
For the better good of society. If you care about your community,
I give you
have
props.
your son tested before he goes back to school today. Well, plumb dumb. I forgot. And he's going to be there in 45 minutes. Should I hold him back?
I give you props on sending your kid to CPS because I would never, ever do that.
Well,
ever.
I love their school. I do. And I love it so much. I work there, too.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Which is another that's a whole other thing. But I love their teachers. I love the security guards. I know that those security guards would take a bullet for my children. And not my children, everybody in that school.
When you were in school, was there any rumblings of anything that was inappropriate between students and students and teachers at all?
Well, you always had that one creepy teacher.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Don't you?
Yeah, no, I had more than one. Yeah. I mean, I knew stuff was going on. I mean, I'd go to high school parties, and sometimes the teachers would be there.
Oh, we didn't have that problem.
Yeah,
but
I'm like,
did
dude,
you really?
I'm like, one of my teachers, and I'm not going to mention.
What was the drinking age 18 back then?
For us, it was 14. But I'm thinking, I'm trying to ask this girl to homecoming, but I can't go with her because she's hanging out with the health teacher.
I know.
But this is next level stuff. This is disgusting.
And as parents, we should have a right to know.
I'm telling you, you know what? Get involved. Go to your school board meetings. Find out what's going on in your district.
Or call your school and say, hey, did any of this happen? I mean, I know there's tens of thousands of teachers, but 600 inappropriate allegations, and some are so gross. One CPS teacher had sex with a student, this is a middle school, in her bedroom. Now, how does that happen?
How do you skate by with that?
That a CPS teacher ends up in your daughter's bedroom having sex.
Well, it's the degradation of the family unit. Nobody's home. Nobody knows what's going on.
I mean, people, and then I put this out on Twitter, and it's, it was CTU involved in this cover-up. How long has it been going on?
Well, it would have had to be almost.
CTU lobbying, to get Chicago police out of schools.
How does it
If
stay
Chicago
quiet?
police were in schools, would this have happened? With more on this, let's welcome back to the program Frank McCormick, teacher, historian, writer of chalkboardheresy.com. He was in the Waukegan Public Schools, and he was a whistleblower, and now he's out of a job.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me back on.
So before we get into this story, just tell the backstory of you becoming a whistleblower and what happened.
Sure. I, about summer of 2021, began just writing about my kind of experiences in the public education system. And back then I was particularly focused kind of on the ideological agendas I saw were being pushed in our schools, and eventually kind of got into a pretty heated public battle with my school district over what was going on and how I felt about it and how the response was. And now I'm out of it though, and I'm involved with I'm leading a group called Parents Care in Lake Forest, and we're kind of focusing on increasing transparency and accountability in our school districts. And on Twitter, I maintain kind of a presence on there, and this was one of the stories I, saw it pop up, and I shared a link about it, and it got, 500,000 views in 24 hours. And I think a lot of people were feeling the same as we are, like, why is this not being reported? I mean, and what is going on in our public schools? And it's been
but
pretty
if this
shocking.
happened in Catholic schools, this would be headline news. This would be in the A block on every single TV station. But since it's Chicago Public Schools, are we trying to help the mayor here because there's an election next month? Or are we CTU? Because for some reason, I even asked my neighbors, like, did you know about this? I was at church. I'm like, do you know about this? They're like, no, that can't be true. No, give me that. No. And they're reading this, horror novel. And nobody pipes up. What are they afraid of? Why do the unions have more power than parents?
I mean, it's a good question. I think it's part of this overall larger culture of adults really just protecting their own interests, protecting a system that gives them a paycheck. And that's what I kind of observed during my time in public education, is that really the kind of first goal of everyone in these systems is to protect the system that feeds them. And so, even there were teachers I was talking to about this, and they're saying, yeah, but it's not higher than, other percentages and other industries. I'm like, what? Like, that's your response to this? And they're like, and we don't know if all of them were, how many of them can you really believe? And I'm like, this is, the attempts to minimize it. And this is coming from a profession, by the way, that is so socially liberal and so on the social justice train with other things. I mean, like you said, if this was, the Catholic Church or, you look at how, I was thinking how teachers respond. There's an incident, there's one incident involving a police shooting, and the next day they're all in their classrooms talking about it. They say, we need to talk about this with our students and help them process it. We need to make this an issue. How many teachers do you think were talking about this with their students in class?
Yeah, zero. None. Big none.
Here's the case. The OAG found that a CPS junior ROT staff member had sex with a female CPS high school student over the course of a year. He provided her with alcohol and asked her to buy marijuana for her and fellow students. An investigation revealed hundreds of text messages and calls between the staff member and the student, including overtly sexual ones. Quote, I'm ready to blank right now, and I'm not going to be gentle either, the staff member texted to the high school student. He later threatened to kill the student and her family if she disclosed the relationship to investigators. So who is this monster? Why don't we have his name, and why don't we know where he works?
Well, even when you do, we had, there was a teacher at our school at Waukegan Public Schools, and everyone knew that he was weird around girls. People had reported it. It was ignored. Oh, we talked to him. He's working on it. And when it finally broke the news, and there were like 50, 60 students that came forward, the union tried to get him his job back.
What?
Unapologetically. We had about, I think there was, about 50, 60 female students, because he was track coach. They came forward. They told, long history.
I know who you're
Teachers
talking
came forward. And, Yep, you know what I'm talking about. And the union, and I remember being in the room as union vice president at the time, says, well, this isn't what you think. I'm like, oh. So I said, so, he's going to come back here? Well, it's, there's a lot more to the story.
And where is he now?
I don't know. He was actually involved at, he was in the education department at like his local temple. So I think a lot of times these people gravitate towards these positions where they have access to children. And, that needs to be part of the conversation too, because, you do bring into education a lot of people with really good intentions. And I think you also attract people that see it as an opportunity.
But how does this stay quiet? I mean, in the day and age of social media and every channel we have to get people out there, and with kids not being, CPS kids especially, not being shy against this kind of thing, how does this get swept under the rug? It's amazing.
I think I ask myself this a lot with you find this with every issue in public education. It's like we've kind of acquiesced to just expect this. People are just, no one's surprised anymore. And it gets away with that. And I think it's, I don't know. I was asking myself, if this isn't an indictment of the system, and if this isn't enough to wake people up, we're in trouble.
And somebody texted in, they should wear body cameras all day and have 4 different oversight agencies critiquing and recommending discipline. They should, because I'll tell you a story. So the OIG, which is investigating these cases of grooming, overly sexual text messages, the same OIG was investigating our show because some leftist who doesn't even live in Chicago, doesn't even send her kids to Chicago public schools, listened to our show. And Ray, you were filling in.
Oh, great. I'm filling in. I'm getting targeted.
About what was going on at the Downers Grove Library.
Right, the dancing.
The drag queen bingo.
Yeah.
So we played sound bites from pro parents. We covered the story. Mm-hmm. We played the audio from the librarian. We played the audio from parents who were sending their kids to it. And we had on people call in that were against it. And this woman, I'm never ever going to say her name because that's what she wants, called and said that we are inciting violence against children. So the OIG listened to hours of our program and determined that we were not inciting violence against children, because I would never do that ever in a million years. Parents, if they want to send their kids to that is their parental choice. Would I send my kids to that?
No.
No, but we would never say anything. They'd never do anything to hurt children. At least I wouldn't. I know you wouldn't. I know John Anthony wouldn't. But that's like, she's taking time away from real abuse that is happening. Real abuse in some instances in cars where they are taking kids to Broadway musicals in Chicago. And in one case, this middle school teacher had sex with her in the bedroom. And that's so sad that the left is that deranged that if we don't agree with what they say, that they're going to target you and then even take away from real issues and real things that are happening in our society. It's just, it's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it seems to be part of this larger trend that is kind of using children as political pawns, as kind of social pawns in these kind of greater kind of ideological fights. And they seem to have no problem, using kids as kind of props in this, as social experiments and putting them at risk. I think, we don't necessarily know what some of the effects are. We don't, they're very quick to bring in, drag queens, outside adults who are involved. And I would say, nothing against, adults that want to go to these things, but we don't always know, who these people are and why they're necessarily really interested. Men that want to dress as women in kind of scantily clad clothing, they're really interested in reading to kids. That might, I might look at them with a little more scrutiny.
Well, why would they want to do? I mean, if I was a drag queen, why would I even want to perform and gyrate like that on the floor in front of little children?
And most don't.
Exactly.
And most don't. There are drag, believe it or not, there are drag queens, and they've come out. We've played them. their interviews on our air are like, that is perverse and disgusting. And they would never do that.
Yeah, of course. And my point is that when you bring this up, though, it's like you're the crazy one.
Yeah.
Right.
You hate children. You don't want them to be exposed. I mean, there's kind of this psychogenic, socially transmitted insanity going on that I think we're all trying to make sense out of. And I think a lot of us are left feeling like, are we crazy? Like, I'm going to get, someone speaks out against drag queens coming into schools or even asks questions, and someone's going to call their job and threaten them or try to get them fired.
Well, they did. And the OIG just determined that there was no inciting of violence against anybody because there wasn't. And that we have a right to free speech. I'm like,
well, thank you.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, Frank.
Glad they got to the bottom of that.
Yep. Yeah, Frank, we're going to have to. Yes, thanks so much for coming on. You can read his works at chalkboardheresy.com, teacher, historian, and writer of said website. Thank you, Frank McCormick, for coming on. We appreciate it.